Hi guys, this is the second video in a series of my quest to try and do a Turkish get up holding a 96kg kettlebell, which is the equivalent of my body weight. If you want to know why I'm doing this, go back and watch the first video. I'll give you the whole background and reasoning, but I won't bore the rest of you with those details again. So just after I recorded the first video where I set my baseline of being able to do a get up with a 48kg kettlebell, I did it on my right side, which is my strongest side. And I talked a little bit about the injury I had on my left hand side a little over a year ago. And after I'd stopped recording, I thought, okay, let's test the left side. And I couldn't get it up. I got partially up, but then had to stop. So I think we'll talk about the specifics of what I'm going to try to do, but I think it's one of the great things about a Turkish get up is that it very much identifies any weaknesses and imbalances you got in your body. I think all of us are a little bit stronger on one side over the other because it's our dominant side, like my right side, which is natural. But the more that you have imbalances of strength in your body, the more likely you are to get injured. It's a real factor in just those tweaks that you can get. So I think it's a really good thing about the Turkish get up is that it forces you to address quite honestly how strong you are on one side versus the other. And for me, one of the rules that I've set myself as I progress to try and move upwards from 48 kgs and try to get to the 96 kg Turkish get up is I want to be able to do 2 reps on each side before I progress to another weight. The final attempt may be different. Maybe it's just on the one side. Maybe I'll never get to the final attempt of 96 kgs. But I want to try to be balanced and making sure I've got strength on both sides. So there's a couple of exercises that I've been doing this week to try and address the weakness on the left side. I think partly that's come from the injury that I had, tearing the pec away from the tendon in the shoulder, because I used to be able to do them on both sides. And I think it's also going to be quite beneficial for people watching if you have trouble on one side versus the other, and how you can address some of those weaknesses. So there's 3 exercises that I'm going to show you. So I'm not going to do an attempt on the left hand side today, so there's no attempt on today's video. I don't think I'm quite ready for it yet. I want to really focus on building up this strength. So maybe on the next episode. But let's look at some of the exercises you can do to address the imbalances in strength. Now, I've got a lighter kettlebell here that I've been using through the week to train it. It's at the end of quite a long and a tough training week, so I hope you don't mind me demonstrating with a bit of a lighter kettlebell to give myself a bit of a break. So what I'm going to do here is just let's talk about the first exercise. The first exercise is going to be, I'm going to get the kettlebell up to the top. You can assist it up if you want and just hold it in position. Hold it for about 5 or 10 seconds because that's where you finish the Turkish get up. So just the sheer fact of getting that kettlebell up there and holding it in place in good positioning for 5 to 10 seconds and then bringing it down and doing that for 2 to 3 reps is going to be very good strengthening exercises for the same muscles you use in doing the Turkish get up. So let me demonstrate. So I'm going to get the kettlebell up, and if you can press it straight up, great. If not, use the other hand. This is not about the press exercise, this is just about getting into the top position and just holding it for time. Breathe, everything's tenses through the core, my shoulder is locked in, shoulder blade pulled back, and you just do that for 3 reps on. You can do it on both sides, specifically if you've got a weakness on one side. That's the first exercise. And the next one is going to be holding it in the bottom position and then doing negatives for the press. So I'll demonstrate, then talk about it. So I'm going to roll over, safely pick up the kettlebell, come across, and again, if you can't press it up, use the second hand for assistance, like this. And then I'm just going to hold it in place, pulling the shoulder blade back. And this I want to hold for about 10 seconds if you can, and then bring it down under control and come back to the side, and then reset and do more reps. I would say 2 to 3 reps of that. Probably I'm doing it twice a week at the moment with the 48kg kettlebell on the other exercise with the 48kg kettlebell. So another good way to address some of the weaknesses. So It's going to make you strong at the top and the top of the movement and the bottom of the movement. And then the next one that I've started working on is variations of one-handed handstands. So it's not quite holding my entire body weight up in the air like I would be with a 96 kilo kettlebell, because my feet are going to be against the wall. That's taking some of the weight, but it's fairly close. And I'm specifically doing it on the left-hand side to address some of the weaknesses. And you could do a kick up into a handstand and do it with your back facing the wall. That's quite difficult. So probably the variation you want to start with is, I'm going to put my hands on the floor, bring my feet up, and walk up, and then from here hold for about 10 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, and then do that for 2 or 3 reps. Obviously the closer you go to the wall, the harder it's going to be. So I think three good exercises, not the only exercises. Maybe I'll bring some more in next week when I'm talking about this. But 3 good exercises that you can do to address an imbalance on one particular side if you're struggling with a Turkish Get Up. And it's what I'm doing, and we'll see next week or on the next video when I attempt the not the 96 kilo kettlebell yet, but when I attempt the 48 kilo kettlebell on the left hand side, if it's addressed that imbalance and allows me to get that up, so then I'm good on both sides. Hope you enjoyed this, guys, and picked up some useful tips.